Hello, my name is Doug Ashlock. This is my safety theory workshop regulating AI in aviation. Current problem results from technological advances from remotely piloted Cessna 208 to a completely autonomous drone using an autopilot to AI teaming using real-time application of AI and human interface. Merriam-Webster defines AI as the capability of a computer system or algorithm to imitate intelligent human behavior, or a branch of computer science dealing with the simulation of intelligent human behavior. That'll be relevant for discussion purposes, as is the regulation definition from Merriam-Webster: to govern or direct according to rule, or to bring order, method, or uniformity to. As well as this, in this presentation, I'll show why current regulatory framework is inadequate. Starting in a biblical root, ALU's 2020 research shows that a literalist interpretation of the Bible is taking grammatic clues and context clues to interpret the Bible literally as opposed to figuratively. We take Matthew chapter 22, verses 15 and 22, where the Pharisees sent their disciples to Jesus to try to trap him in his words. They were trying to get him to lose credibility with his people, or to get him to say something that they could arrest him for as a crime against Caesar. But what Jesus told them was, whatever belongs to Caesar, you give to Caesar. Whatever belongs to God, you give to God. So the matters of the earth, you give to your local government, and the matters of the spirit, you give to God. And Romans chapter 13, verse 8, quote, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God." And that's from the English Standard Version Student Study Bible, 2011. Both of these verses show God's intent that people should follow their worldly government. As such, the worldly government has a divine appointed responsibility to their people to provide clear, unambiguous guidance to their people. In the US, the Plain Writing Act of 2010 is a regulation for lawmakers that is aimed at doing just that. So current AI application, we have a NACA video that AI takes safety reports, compiles the data and sorts it, generates a report, and it does so with such accuracy that humans pale in comparison both in accuracy and speed. And the result is that all a human needs to do is proofread the report. AI and ATC generates efficiency. So current AI models take air traffic control data and they're able to optimize the routes, and it does so far better than any human ATC, especially whenever you start integrating abnormal scenarios. Efficiency and lack of delays in the ATC routing is beneficial for passengers, companies, as well as ATC themselves. Airbus is using AI to taxi aircraft, where it takes an air traffic control clearance as the base programming for the automated taxi, and then it uses 4D radar, LiDAR, and geo-positioning sensors to maintain awareness throughout its automated taxi. And then, as stated earlier, the human AI teaming, Yin et al.'s 2023 research took a human AI team, and they took the AI and it uses eye tracking and saliency maps to check the human's focus, and it would make real-time adjustments to the flight. So both the human and the AI were able to make real-time adjustments to the aircraft's flight trajectory in a true human AI team. Current regulatory structure, we have the certification procedures for products and articles. It's the governing regulation in the United States, and it was developed in 1964. The regulation requires for a new product to demonstrate safety through extensive testing, as well as a manual describing complete operation and description of the product. Now, current manufacturers would have to follow this regulation if they wanted to implement AI into the flight deck, and it was written before the average person had access to a PC. They would also have to write a manual describing the entire function of an AI. Imagine having to write a manual for all the capabilities of a human. Furthering human AI teaming in the future, uh, it's possible that an AI would be able to monitor the aircraft status as well as preventing any exceedance of a limitation, allowing the human pilot to focus on another task entirely, such as engaging an enemy aircraft or scanning visually for traffic. Another human AI teaming example would be a human AI pairing sends a controller, or the controller sends the clearance to a human AI team in an aircraft. The AI on board the aircraft analyzes the clearance for optimization, and then the human analyzes it for any safety of flight issues that a computer may not have seen initially. Regulating AI as a separate technology can be a real hurdle, particularly from an engineering standpoint. How much AI do we allow into the cockpit? So from an engineering standpoint, we need an AI that the pilots can use easily. However, we need to lock out individuals that would do harm with the technology. So we could make it to where the pilots can use it, but how do we get somebody who's a non-pilot to be able to use it? How would a AI know the difference in a scenario where this new person in the flight deck is there to help and not harm? So potentially we could add in a flight attendant override or even a remote override from ATC to allow this person to control the aircraft. There will be a necessary step in regulating AI into the flight deck, and that's to demonstrate to stakeholders that the technology is safe. So we need to show to the general public that AI is safe. And the way that we would do that is maybe an incremental implementation, showing step by step as a proof of concept that this technology is safe in the flight deck. How much AI do we allow in? That's another regulatory toss-up. Hampton's 2016 letter to the administrator of the FAA showed that without sufficient regulatory oversight, that humans would become overly reliant on automation and result in poor piloting skills. Asimoglu's 2021 research shows that humans' excessive reliance on AI will result in human inadequacy over time. So those two concepts combined show that too much AI in the flight deck will result in inadequate pilot skills, and that'll be a detriment to safety. AI surprise with sound logic. Reed's 2018 study shows that AI might respond to a scenario that would be a surprise to a human in the same situation. Gathering the data after the fact showed that the AI responded with sound logic, but maybe out of context. So from a regulatory standpoint, we might need to regulate the context in which we apply the AI to maintain safe output. Some opposing viewpoints to changing the regulatory structure would be that changing the regulatory structure itself would be a burdensome process. The flaw with this is that if in the event we do want to implement AI into the flight deck, then the burdensome process becomes a necessary evil in the interest of public safety. So the other aspect would be, or another opposing viewpoint would be waiting until a problem occurs. And the problem with that is that you're using an outcome bias to show that in the past, we don't do anything and nothing happens, therefore the system is safe. The problem with this is that the capacity of the system would remain constant while the capacity of the product changes. So we would be changing the product and the capacity of the system remains the same and hoping that everything goes well. So in conclusion, we would use a literalist interpretation of the Bible to use God's biblical guidance to allow regulators to generate clear, unambiguous guidance. Currently, there's a public safety risk that there is no limit on human AI teaming resulting in poor piloting technique. Another big public safety risk is that reactive regulation allows the problem before there's a solution. So the safety response is a preemptive regulatory change. These are the references that I used throughout this presentation. Thank you for listening, and God bless.